Hello, my name is James Hoover. Now, in this short video presentation, I'm going to share with you some information that is frankly quite shocking. It's part of a series of videos you'll find at buteykotechnique.com. Now, this first one is designed simply to share some information with you about the economics of asthma. We'll put it into a context that'll make sense. After you've gone through this process and seen the numbers, some dots will be joined together, and then in the next video we'll move into an alternative method of reducing your asthma symptoms and your asthma bill, and you may also find some enjoyment in reducing that asthma bill. Okay, so first of all, welcome again. We've currently got some really amazing science going on, so why do you or your family still get asthma? Let's see if we can find out some of the reasons. Now, the current price of gold in Australian dollars, it's a little bit less than US dollars, is around $48 per gram. I just want you to remember that number, so when we put it against the value of some other items, you'll have a reference point. So gold is generally considered to be valuable. It used to be far more valuable, but it's still pretty useful to have a little pile in your pocket. Let's quickly look at the pricing of Pulmicort, which is a preventive medication. If we look at the 1 milligram respules that come in a 30-pack, now that's an online price, so that's just the cheapest version I could find. Here in Australia you'll find that it works out approximately, if we use our if you pay privately, you'll pay $44.99 for a 30 milligram pack, which essentially is $1,500 per gram. If you can get the government, that's what we call over here in Australia, the government pays some money, you get a little bit less, just $1,250 per gram. If you can get it as a concession, which means the government pays the majority, so the government's paying about $38 out of the $44 of the private pack to the drug companies, but the net cost to you then, if your government's paying, your balance cost, let me go back, is just over $200 a gram. And if in Australia you've not got much money, then you can get in the safety net and you get it for free. So $200 per gram or $1,500 per gram versus the price of gold at $47 per gram. So you can do the maths yourself, but it gets more interesting as we go on. Now, Ventolin nebules on a private concession effectively turns into the 150 milligram nebules. It turns into $115 per gram, and on a concession less than half that of $48 a gram, which is about the price of gold. So Ventolin, an old drug that's been around for a very, very long time, well, a couple of decades, it's still being sold to us at the price of gold when you bring it back down into actually what you're getting. When you use the inhalers, CFC free, that's nice, but 100 microgram by 200 puffs of salbutamol, or albutamol as you call it in the US. The private price is $6.10, that's Australian, and you get 0.2 of a gram for that $6.10. Now that's $300 per gram for the actual drug. Remember, gold is $47 per gram. Ceravent, a more recent drug, not one I'm terribly impressed with. It's a long-acting relief medication which has got some really bad research. If you're having this drug, talk to your doctor. 50 milligram at 60 doses gives you 3,000 milligrams, which is 0.003 grams. Now this is interesting because that's $11,000 per gram. Remember, price of gold is $47 or $48 per gram Australian. So even on the concession where the government's paying the balance of that $6.10 to the 33, you're still paying over $2,000 per gram for Ceravent. Symbicort, a preventer or a steroid medication. It's got 6 milligrams for 100 6 micrograms for 120 doses, which is 0.024 grams. The value of that is 2,291.25 per gram. That's Australian money. And similarly through the PBS it comes down to 1,500 and concession $254 a gram, which is 5 times the price of gold. Or in fact down here, cocaine at $500 a gram is much less than your budesonide. How big is the market for this stuff? Apparently there's 40 million people in the USA where the Pulmicort Turbohaler cost is $60, which is much more than here in Australia. Your drugs are more expensive over there, so just add some on when you're doing the numbers. Flixotide has global sales of $8 billion. Symbicort has $3 billion. In Australia, the average, according to the ABC, our national broadcaster here, is $70 a month for preventers only. You lucky people in the US will have significantly more than that. UK is about equivalent. AstraZeneca, which is one of the major producers of asthma medication, has global sales in 2014 of $25 billion. In terms of the global asthma report, apparently 334 million people have asthma, 14% of children have asthma, and it appears to be growing, which is a lovely sign for those people who are selling us these slightly expensive pharmaceuticals. So let's look at one drug. In Australia we paid $305 per gram as an online price. Excluding government payments, the drug companies get the difference. That's effectively $305,000 per kilo for Ventolin, or whatever you like to call it. $305,000 per kilo. On Alibaba, if you search, you'll find that you can buy medical grade salbutamol sulfate for less than $500 per kilo. That's US dollars, both of those, but it's still a nice little margin. Another drug, if we look at the budesonide or Pulmicort, the retail price here is $2,300 per gram. In the US you pay more. That $2,300 per gram turns into $2.3 million per kilo. That's $2.3 million per kilo. Again, more in the US. On Alibaba, with some haggling, it's available medical grade, the same product, very high standards, for only $185,000 per kilo. And I'm pretty certain that the manufacturers who make it sell it for $185,000 a kilo are pretty happy to sell it to you at that price. But to those people over here, so there's at least a 1,238% margin between Alibaba and what we pay to our pharmacists. So when I talk about ways of reducing asthma medication using breathing techniques or finding a cure in inverted commas, it's not in the best interest of a lot of people to actually find one. We've spoken about the relative price we pay for asthma drugs. What do the big pharma companies say in response? Well, part of my dark history is that I actually was a pharmaceutical salesperson for 7 years here in Australia, so I've got a fairly good idea of the level of resources that they've got available. They've got legions of PR firms, salespeople, copywriters, professors that they take to dinner and around the world for research, conventions. They give them speaking opportunities. They supply the money for research. And if you're a professor, then you need that, otherwise you're actually pretty much stuffed. The drug companies tell us all about the research, the testing, the failed tests, the patents, and all the various other costs they supposedly have. But in terms of the business, without a growing number of people with asthma symptoms, they would be out of business. It's not in their financial interest to have an asthma cure, or an allergy cure, or in fact a cure for any chronic condition, is it? It is the ultimate subscription business. If you follow their sales message, their marketing message, you'll need to prepare your wallet to pay for the relief of those conditions for the rest of your life. It's the ultimate subscription model. The evidence, and note the inverted commas, says there is no cure. and that all that those billions of dollars of money going through research and various things, all they can do with that is work to reduce our symptoms and keep us safe. Oh, and yes, they will keep looking for the cure and donate to research, but we'll be waiting for a while. The hard, cynical reality of asthma and other conditions. Would you ask your lawn mowing man to kill off all your grass? Or if you sold wool, would you want to kill off your sheep? And would you ask a shark the best way to protect your seals? In the next video I'll talk more about a Russian breathing method which reduces asthma medication by an average of 90%. It's a bit hard to read on that slide, however, 90% average in hospital clinical trials in here, in the US, in the UK, New Zealand. These trials are real trials done by real medical professionals. The results that they've got are astounding. Interestingly enough, there's no global pharma companies wanting to research further on it, but it's something that once you know it, you'll become a bit more skeptical and a bit more cautious with what you do with your money and how you treat your asthma in the long term. So have a think about the market reality. Have a think about what it would mean to you if you could reduce your asthma symptoms with a breathing method, as did the people in those trials. That's the end of that. I'll just go back to that so it's something to look at. So what you can do to get the next video, I'd invite you to put your details in the box below and we'll email that through to you. On the back of that, we're generating a product that'll cost you about $9 if you want the full training, and that can be either a once-off or a monthly fee. The goal is to get this information out in a way that's both effective and cost efficient to everybody. It's kind of madness to tell someone that if they learned a breathing method that their asthma would reduce by 90%. So right across the world there's hundreds of millions of people who really do need this, so I need your help to get the word out. So I invite you to join our little group. The only emails you get will be related to this, and I look forward to communicating you in the next video. I'm James Hooper. Have a great day.